Okay. This is so beautiful. Just recorded a whole episode. Mike was not on. So it's on now. Gotta love it. My name is Vicente Chavez. I'm a member of the LDS/Mormonism community.
It's Mormon, yeah. Oh, so get ready to learn. It's Mormon, yeah.
Thank you for that wonderful intro to who I am as a person. Yeah. Started off with just the goal of my podcast is going to be that I hope that I can break down the stigma of that, every single Mormon, every single LDS person has to be very strict, and that, there's some outliers out there. I'm definitely one of them. I got into church from my father. He was the first one to switch from Mormonism, or switch to Mormonism, excuse me. And yeah, it was pretty cool. um, he switched when I was 2, so my whole family pretty much has grown up on Mormonism slash LDS. I'm gonna refer to it as LDS now. That means Latter Day Saints. We could dive into beliefs later. This is gonna be part 1. We're gonna bring it back with my guest host, who we're gonna talk about later. But I think growing up as an LDS person who's very not like super strict on the rules, super strict on this, it's just it was a great experience to see like the family. You know what I mean? Like I think people have a very strong idea that most LDS members are very strict, very like uptight. But when I went through it, everybody was very fine. I wasn't very traditional like since like the jump. My dad isn't very traditional since like the jump. He very much like you can see the holes in our beliefs and stuff, but nobody really cared. It was all about family. It was all about being there. Being there with each other. And so you know, I think a very funny thing is like you my personally I have like you get like a second personality. It's kind of like when you first learn how to cuss as a kid. That filter is gonna be turned on. Like nobody, you're not gonna act the same in front of your parents. You're not gonna act the same in front of church people. And I think the hardest thing for me was is definitely probably fitting in because like I created friends who are very Mormon and get to do my own thing. I sooner or later I got my ears pierced. I started becoming very against it. Not like against it, excuse me, but like far from it. And it's just hard, like because there isn't like they don't really judge. Maybe as like a kid they did, but like there's just like kind of like they want me to keep going more. They like to push us. But I think the coolest thing that came out of it was my excuse me. Ooh. Was my aunt. Her name is Sister Rita Rich Reedhead. Um, when we first started church, we weren't doing great. My dad was an auto body painter, so he wasn't really doing too good. Then we, scooped us up, came us, let us come over for dinners a few times, and she really became like a mother figure for me. And I don't know, it was really cool to like see, but she was very strict, and that was another thing that was interesting. But yeah, I think if there's one thing I'd like to tell other people is that most LDS and all that is like every other church. It's not really that much different. There's still gonna be, the very strict people, and there's still gonna be the people who, you know, kind of like outlie. Like every other, not everybody has to be super strict, super on perfect, right on the dot. And yeah, I hope you can feel that as I'm talking to you. When I get to the end of the podcast, we're going to do a little segment with my guest speaker who can talk about her side of the things and how it was like dating somebody and, of the standards that it came up with it. Because hopefully, she can have some questions that I can break down and we can both break the barriers. Oh, thank you for watching the episode 1 of the draft. Yeah.
It's Mormon, yeah. Oh, you ready to learn? It's morning, yeah.
Okay.